launched the global launch of A Woman's Guide to Business Domination. Our book has launched today. We're super excited about that. I've been interviewing 18 of our amazing co-authors, and our next co-author is Linda Fisk, who is going to be sharing about her chapter on market development. And I'm going to introduce you to Linda. She is the CEO of Leadership Global. She's a multi-award winning leader, keynote speaker, best-selling author, university professor. She's dedicated to amplifying and extending the success of other high caliber business leaders, and she does it so well. She's the founder and CEO of Leadership Global, and it's a community, a global community of unstoppable women enhancing their leadership blueprint and embracing their power to be the best version of themselves personally and professionally. It all goes hand in hand. She is just amazing powerhouse, and for this very reason, she's an author in our amazing new book. So welcome to launch day, Linda.
Thank you so much, Annie. What a pleasure to be with you. And what an exciting day to launch this book with so many other exciting, inspirational, knowledgeable, incredible women in business leadership.
It's awesome, isn't it? Isn't it an awesome way to actually celebrate these 18 women who are just doing their thing in all parts of the globe in their own unique way? And they've also then contributed by the way that they've written all of their chapters just to add value for people who are aspiring to be in that space, to be learning from their wisdom, learning from their experience. I absolutely love it, and we're all things celebrating women and just encouraging more future leaders in this space. So tell us a bit about your chapter. I know I've got a whole podcast coming out tomorrow. So for those of you who want like full works, you'll be able to listen to Linda's podcast with me in the next day. But at the moment, you have talked about market development. So how about you share a little bit about that with our listeners?
Yeah, market development is one of the key challenges that I think any business faces at some level of growth and scale. So as a business begins to grow and scale, there are some key decisions that the business owner and founder and the key executives of that business need to make in order to amplify the growth and the scale of that business. And key to those decisions are market development. So does that mean that as you grow and scale your business, you are going to expand into new target audiences? Are you going to expand into new geographies? Are you going to expand in terms of the product mix that you're offering, the lines of revenue that you're generating? And those are some of the key decisions that need to be considered in market development. If you are very clear on the market you serve and you have defined that market very specifically, demographically, geographically, psychographically, in terms of lifestyle, in terms of the needs that you're serving with that audience, then is there an opportunity to find a very similar and aligned market that you can expand into? Is there an opportunity to expand your geography from your particular region into perhaps national distribution or maybe cross-cultural distribution? Is there an opportunity for you to expand even the products that you're offering to be able to meet more of the need of your target audience by expanding the products and the services that you offer into aligned businesses?
Absolutely. So important to be looking at this level, particularly after the pandemic, because most businesses have actually had that reality check of one, we can't do business in the same way, but also the landscape's changed, things have shifted. And so to be on top of this topic of market development, so important. Something that we'll always be doing in business. So it's not an optional extra. This is actually a foundational topic for all of you. So those of you ready to read this book, because that's right. We have to always be, once we've set that business up, we've done our startup and we start to grow and to scale, we've always got to be developing in new ways. And you have given it this chapter is written so clearly for those of you looking in. It is a brilliant piece of work. It is so structured, clear. It is going to help people step by step through all of these decisions and choices that they might need to contemplate that they might not have done before.
Thank you, Annie. Yeah, a lot of what I talk about in the book is trying to approach some of these decisions in a very strategic way and being sure that is founded on market research, to be sure that you're very clear about the needs that you're meeting through your product and service, and that the audience that you believe you're serving is actually the people that are purchasing your products or services. Because often I find that when I speak to business owners, business founders, entrepreneurs, they have a very specific understanding of what their product is designed to do, what
Yeah.
their service is, what the purpose of their service is. But what I find is oftentimes people are incredibly resourceful, they're creative, and they will use that product or service in new and innovative ways that was never even considered by the designer, the product developer, the person that developed the product or service. And so they find new resourceful ways of using products and services. And so that opens up entirely new markets to the business owner, the business founder. There's lots of ways of repurposing and redesigning products and services to serve new markets or to extend revenue opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the mind boggles, doesn't it? I mean, it could be a product that you've always just had for women that maybe men are, that's a market, or, you might go totally niche, teenage boys for a specific, acne medication or something. You might be, having something for humans, and all of a sudden people are sharing that with their pets, a product that can be just developed and changed. There's so many different areas that I agree with what you said, Linda, that you go into business thinking this is what I want, this is what I've created, this is what I want to give people. And oh, we've just lost her for a minute. Hopefully she'll come and join us back again. We'll just bear with this connection. Oh, I've lost her. Hopefully she'll pop back in again. But this whole area that I was talking about while we're waiting for Linda to rejoin us is that we often are so focused on what we have produced, what we want to share with our market, how we want them to use that. And we become very prescriptive because we get stuck in the original reason for being. Hang on, I'll just add Linda back in again. Sorry, I was just chatting away while you were reconnecting, Linda. I was just talking about how we as business owners often get so focused on what we do, what the reason we started our business, what we want to share with our market, how they should use that product, because it's all sort of from our side. Whereas what you've actually been sharing, and I know will be detailed beautifully in this chapter, is actually going, how about you go and ask the customer and your growing customer and your future customer what their needs are.
That's right. And being able to speak to the customer and being able to really tap into the purpose of the product or service, the reason why they choose that product or service over the competition is so enlightening. What we find often by asking very simple questions about the uses of a product or service, the needs that it meets, and also why they are loyal to one brand over another really is incredibly enlightening and can help the business owner, the business founder, the entrepreneur make those critical choices about how to expand, how to enter into new markets, or to be able to serve new audience segments.
It is so enlightening. Seriously, I think this is just a gem straight off the bat, even before you've actually brought that book, seriously ask customers. And I'll be like that, and you'll be like that, Linda, that they've got no idea sometimes of why you're loyal to one over the other. It could actually just be the packaging that it comes in. It could be some extra little thing that you give that someone else doesn't give. It could be the fact that they just feel loyal to you because you're so lovely and they want to support your business. It could be because your business also supports, people in need, and that's a high value for them. There is so much information that you're actually going to glean. Why do people shy away from that? Do they believe that sort of market research is going to be costly? Why is it an area that you think is neglected?
Well, I would tell you that I think that a lot of business owners, business founders are, and I think people in general can be very risk averse. They can be afraid of change. They can be afraid of growing too quickly, scaling too quickly, and they can also be afraid of, the risks associated with expanding their business. But I will
Mm,
say that it is appropriate as a business grows and scales to constantly be thinking about where are the geographies that I am most likely to be able to expand into successfully? Where
mm,
are the other audiences that may have uses for my product or service? And where are the other products or services that are very well aligned with my current offering that could be supplemental to what I'm offering now? So, for instance, there are actually, believe it or not, cosmetic companies that initially believed that they were servicing young women, right? And that was really their core audience. But they began realizing through market research that men were using their cosmetics and use the same foundation or the same sorts of cosmetics that women were. And they began really looking at that and realized there was an entire market available to them, opening up for them for serving men in the cosmetics area. So I would say, even those places where you may seem that your product or service is very unlikely to be adopted by a particular audience.
Nope, you're back.
Oh, I'm so
Hello.
sorry. But as I was saying, even cosmetics can be used by unexpected audiences like men. And the cosmetic companies that recognized that men were using their line of cosmetics very effectively, they all of a sudden became aware of the fact that they have an entire audience available to them that they didn't anticipate, that they didn't
Insane.
project, and it dramatically expanded their marketplace.
Yeah, dramatically. Yeah, could actually double their marketplace. I mean, phenomenal. Imagine not knowing that. Absolutely incredible. And that could just because they weren't aware of it, or maybe the market also changes, and you've got to keep your eye on the pulse of the market of, men even feeling, that whole market share, for example, has massively changed in the last 10 years of men using a lot of product that previously in a different generation hadn't. There is so much value in this chapter, Linda. I absolutely love it. And I think we are all developing these different markets. And I think the secret here is actually just reading through the chapter and just segmenting all of the bits of advice, all of the information on how to actually just approach where you are and where you could be. And so some of it doesn't mean that you've got to try all of it, but it just means that you might then start going, okay, well, how could I find out that? And then obviously the customers that you'd start with your very own, customers that you've had before, and start, what's your best way? Survey them, invite them to little think tanks. How do most companies go about this process?
Yeah, I think a lot of companies use focus groups. So it's really important that when you do this market research, you speak to not only those loyal customers that choose your product over the competition. But you also speak to people that are agnostic about your brand. They may use your brand, but they may use a competitive brand too. And you may
Mm,
ask them, what do you like about the competitive brand? Why are you not more loyal to ours? What is it that you're receiving in terms of value from an alternative product or service from ours? What can we do
mm,
better? And what kind of value do you receive from this competitive brand? And then also to speak to people who have never used your product. Maybe they're loyal to someone else. Maybe they meet that need in a very unique way. Maybe they don't feel as though they need your product or service because they meet that need in
mm,
a very innovative, resourceful kind of way. Understanding all the different ways that they are meeting a need, they're resolving a pain point, they're taking advantage of opportunity, and they're doing that without the use of your product or service gives you all kinds of insight about what else you could be thinking about providing, servicing your customers in new and unique ways. And
mm.
so understanding why people don't use your product or service is just as important as understanding why they do.
That is such a good point to share, and yeah, why they don't, and it could be something that you're completely unaware. For example, I recently sent a bunch of flowers to my assistant Ali, and I used one company, and oh my gosh, I got spammed so badly. Then over the next few days of their thanks and did I like it, did it come, but it was just too much, and I'm like going, oh my gosh, like I won't use that company again just because of the after service. It was just too much for me, and I thought that's something that they obviously don't know because they've set it up in a certain way that they believe that's very good customer service. But if I'm the average customer and actually it made me go, I'm never going to use that company again, you really need to know that, right? So definitely very, very good advice. So um, those people who are going to be reading this booklet, you're going to go
So
to Kate.
smart. That's a really good comment too, Annie, is that sometimes it's not just the product or service, but it's also um, the service afterwards.
Oh, we're having a challenge with Linda's mobile today, but that's okay. We'll push through. Nearly there.
Customer service. Oh, so sorry. I'm not sure what's happening with our connection right now. But I will say that I do think sometimes it is very much about the ancillary touch points after or
Mm,
before the sale that is so important too. And receiving feedback on that too is, what is the relationship that we have? Am I too much? Am I too little? Are you receiving all the touch points that you need? Am I answering the questions that you have? Are we communicating with you too much or too little?
yes.
Is the packaging right? Is the delivery right? And all of it, is the messaging on point? All of that matters when people are making a decision about a product or service. Know that the way that you communicate to one target audience may have to be very different from the way you communicate to another product or
Yes.
another target audience. So, in product development, in product expansion, in market development, you need to identify the unique needs of each individual segment of your audience and communicate with them uniquely based on who they are and what they want and what they need. That may mean that the cadence of communication needs to change. That may mean that the messaging needs to change. And being
Mm,
very clear about that. The way you speak to men is going to be very different from the way you speak to women. The way you speak to an 18-year-old may be very different from the way you speak to someone who's in their 60s. The way
mm,
that you speak to someone that is a next door neighbor may be very different from someone that you speak to around the world. And so recognizing those nuances and those differences and paying attention to that is just so critical.
Oh my goodness, the customer journey is seriously so much bigger a concept than most people ever realize. Once you start breaking down all of those touch points, all of the moments that you have with them, and then looking at it from the other side, what they were expecting, what they were needing at that time, what they were disappointed with, what they loved. There's so many aspects that we've only just touched on today, and I know that you're going to definitely expand on that in the book, and so valuable, because this can be equate to a lot of money, right? So if you could have the best product, but because of something that some part of that customer journey is just not resonating. I was working for one company once, and they went and said they were going from us to another company just because of the postal system. It took too long, so they were using a different agencies to get around the national post that was slow. And we're like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe it. It was a medical instrument, and it was like really expensive, and it was around the post. It wasn't even about the product.
Right.
And I love that you've referred to that a couple of times. It's sometimes we get so obsessed with the actual product, but there's so much more than the product: the packaging, the smell, the customer handling, the time that it takes to deliver, all of those things, and a zillion others that actually is the customer experience, right?
Absolutely.
Amazing. Well, we're going to let you go because you've had a lot of challenges on your Wi-Fi. I appreciate so much you taking the time to come in and share with us on launch day. I want everyone going and getting A Woman's Guide to Business Domination. It is available at kmdbooks.com, or you can scan the QR code on my backdrop there. That will take you there. You will be able to get a copy of this book, including 18 chapters from all of these world experts in their field, and definitely Linda Fisk from Leadership Global. She is a queen of growing businesses, helping them just transform into whole new levels. And it's because of the way she thinks in this sort of perspective. And market development is certainly her niche area. And I tell you, after reading her chapter, it is just open platter of what you should be looking at, how you should approach it. It is so well communicated. I know you're absolutely going to love it. So thank you so much, Linda, for joining us.
Thank you, Annie. I appreciate it. It's such an honor to be a part of this book, and it's such an honor to be a co-author with so many amazing, incredible leaders. And thank you, Annie, for compiling this opportunity to listen and learn from so many inspirational business leaders in one book. The Business Domination book is going to be absolutely transformative to so many business owners, business entrepreneurs. And I am so grateful to you and to Karen McDermott, the publisher, of gathering this assembly of extraordinarily inspirational women in the Women's Business Domination book. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Linda. It's been great to collaborate with you once again.